So, hey everyone, I'm hanging out in our master bedroom suite. My son's watching SpongeBob because I just don't want him to know details just yet about how dangerous his dad's job is. I know I posted already a few times about our neighboring county and how they lost a deputy last night, but it wasn't until I read the article and saw the sheriff's news conference that I realized how truly severe the incident was. And just real quickly, I just kind of want to walk through it. Just because what happened was so horrific and grisly and horrifying to me. I feel like people need to pay attention to this. Sorry, I had to go restart another SpongeBob. So immediately after the situation last night had calmed down, we received words that there was an active shooter of some sorts or an ambush situation in a city about 10 minutes away from where we live with a lot of officers who we know personally. And having just received word that an officer or a sheriff's deputy was killed in Santa Cruz, another gravely injured, and a CHP officer was shot in the hand during the incident, which I'll get into. Last night was pretty rough. So I kind of just want to share the details, again, because this is the most horrific, grisly thing I have heard happen to law enforcement, especially in our area. I'm sure I'm at a loss of words. And the fact that it's a neighboring county to us, and we knew some of the officers and deputies who responded to this. It's breaking my heart that they had to witness this. I know they're tough. I know they'll be fine. I know they are at home with great support systems, but I still worry about them. Anyways, so from what I can piece together, deputies, I guess there was a call put out for a van with suspects or multiple suspects that had multiple guns. I'm not quite sure, but I think the van took off when it saw deputies approaching, and they eventually found the van at a home in Ben Lomond. If you're not familiar with the Ben Lomond area of Santa Cruz, it's very heavily wooded. So when deputies went to investigate the van, the suspect or suspects had already entered the heavily wooded area behind the van and effectively had gained what I assume is the high ground and the advantage of cover, and began open firing at these officers and throwing improvised explosive devices at these officers. Just let that sink in for a moment. They were throwing bombs at our deputies who protect us. Apparently, Deputy Gutzweiler was shot, taken to the hospital, and later pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. One of the officers, or deputies, was hit with one of the improvised explosive devices, an IED, and was also hit and ran over by a car. He is still alive. He's in very critical condition, although the outlook remains extremely grim for his survival. And I can only imagine what his family is going through right now. So I know that multiple agencies at this point were already on scene or were arriving on scene. I know a CHP officer was shot in the hand, so that's a total of one deputy killed, one deputy hanging on in critical condition, and one CHP officer shot in the hand. Eventually they caught the suspect. I don't know if they're still looking for additional suspects. I know that he was shot during the apprehension. I watched a video of them leading him away from the scene. He was walking and talking, so I assume they'll be able to get whatever information they need out of him if he's cooperative, which I hope he is. As far as the rest of the details, they haven't been able, or they can't release much at this time, but from what I've heard alone, that sounds so horrific and grisly, and I can't even imagine. The deputy who perished has a young child at home and a pregnant wife. And yet I see comments on social media saying that they're glad that he lost his life because all cops are bastards, he deserved to die. There's not a single good cop, all of them are bad, they should all be killed. How can anyone say that after hearing what happened to these deputies and after hearing especially this deputy who, by all accounts, was not only an incredible deputy but an incredible man and did serve his community with pride and dedication and was an excellent deputy. He was one of the good ones, the majority of the good ones. You took one of the good ones. And you left another one hanging on for dear life after you threw a bomb at him and hit him with your car. And you celebrate that. I have no words. I know all of us, or majority of us in law enforcement or related to law enforcement are grieving with those of you who are grieving for George. But I wonder what these guys are making these explosive devices for. After seeing all the rhetoric online, I mean, like I was saying before, I know we're listening. We are listening and trying to understand and trying to find a point of peace. But the rhetoric from some online that encourages people like this guy and possibly another, I don't know if there's another, I'm guessing there might be, I don't know that. You're egging unstable people on like that. Where would they have used those bombs otherwise? At a peaceful protest that they could have taken over with those explosive devices, at a peaceful rally, just finding an officer on the street and lobbing an IED at them. The rhetoric and the hatred and the radicalism needs to stop. I think now is the time for peaceful conversations on how we can come together